Hello and welcome to Ikulu Weekly. This week, President William Ruto was in New York for the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he strongly advocated for reforms of the global financial system, fair development finance, a more inclusive UN, and bolder global climate action. He began by addressing the 7th summit of the Committee of 10 Heads of State and Government on UN Security Council reforms, where he emphasized that Africa's exclusion from permanent membership was unacceptable and indefensible. He urged that the historic injustice must be corrected for the United Nations to remain relevant and fit for purpose. The president later addressed a high-level meeting on Haiti, outlining the progress of the Kenyan-led multilateral security support mission that has restored key infrastructure, reopened roads, and enabled schools and hospitals to resume operations. He reaffirmed that Haiti's security challenges can be overcome with collective international support. President Ruto addressed the United States-Kenya Business and Investment Roundtable, bringing together CEOs of leading American companies. He also invited ENDA, a global sportswear manufacturer, to explore establishing a product base in Kenya and held discussions with NBA Deputy Commissioner Mark Tutam on collaboration in sports development, including a modern multi-purpose arena at the proposed Railway City, Nairobi. Throughout the week, the head of state held several bilaterals and multilateral engagements with leaders, including Estonia President Ala Karis, Haiti's Laurent Saint, Austria President Alexander Van der Bellen, Ghana President John Dramani Mahama, Finland President Alexander Stubb, Canada Prime Minister Honorable Mark Carney, Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev, France President Emmanuel Macron, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. These meetings focused on building strong partnerships in trade, investment, climate action, financial reforms, and global peace. The president also addressed a World Health Organization and Slovenia co-hosted side event on health equity, calling for greater citizen participation in shaping resilient health systems. He attended the conference on the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine, reaffirming Kenya's support for a two-state solution, and took part in a high-level dialogue on climate finance. In partnership with California, President Ruto witnessed the signing of the California-Africa Climate and Economic Partnerships. On behalf of Kenya, President Ruto delivered the national statement during the General Assembly debate, warning that the United Nations must reform to reflect modern realities or risk sliding into irrelevance. He stressed that Africa, with 54 nations, cannot continue to be denied permanent representation on the Security Council. That's it on Ikulu Weekly. Do join us next week for more.
As we mark the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, Africa also marks 20 years since the Ezulwini Consensus and the Sirte Declaration, the two historic milestones that establishes the common African position on UN Security Council reforms. You cannot claim to be the United Nations while disregarding the voice of 54 nations. It is not possible. Africa is no longer willing to wait on the margins of global governance while decisions about peace, security, and development are made without our understanding, without our perspectives, and without our voice. Africa's exclusion is not only unacceptable, unfair, and grossly unjust, it also undermines the very credibility of the United Nations, this organization. Africa dominates most of the Security Council agenda, provides some of the largest contingents of UN peacekeeping forces, and bears the heaviest costs of instability. Yet we remain the only continent without a permanent seat at the main table where decisions about our destiny are made. Africa deserves, ladies and gentlemen, at the very least, 2 permanent seats with full rights, including the right to veto, and 2 additional non-permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. The world must understand that reforming the Security Council is not a favor to Africa or to anybody. It is a necessity for the United Nations' own survival.